Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Williamson County Coaches Preview Show. I'm Jack Daniels, your host, and with us for tonight's game, the head football coaches at Ravenwood High School, Coach Hester, and the head coach at Independence High School, Coach Blade. Welcome, fellas.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Let's start with last week's game, Coach Hester. You guys went to Laverne. Tell us about that game and bring us up to date to where you guys are right now in your season.
That was a pretty exciting overtime game. We started out playing about as poorly for three quarters as you could, and we finished pretty strong, though. Scored 2 touchdowns the last couple of minutes, I think, to send it into overtime, and then made a nice play on the first play of overtime to win.
Okay, all right. So what's that bring your record up to?
We're currently 3-0. We've already had our bye week, and so we'll play straight through the rest of the way.
All right. Coach Blade?
Yeah, we had a tough loss against a real good beach team last Friday. The environment was great. The fans came out and supported our kids, and they had a great game plan against us, and they executed it really well, especially the first half. We got stung with some turnovers there. I was real pleased with the second half. Our kids came out and made some critical stops, and offense got going. Had it all tied up going into the fourth quarter, and just kind of ran out of time, ran out of plays, and ended up losing 28-21. And but again, a real good night, real great atmosphere here in Williamson County. And but we're 3-1 so far, and looking forward to the matchup tonight.
Now, your game last week, that was a Sports South game?
Yeah, the CSS put it on, so it was a regional game. It was broadcast to 5.5 million homes across the southeast, and they did a first-class job. And we were real happy to get that opportunity to play on that type of stage, and learn from it, and learn from what we can do should it come up again, and how to handle some different types of adversity. So, great learning experience for our team and our kids.
Yeah, now, did you get a couple extra TV timeouts in that setting?
Yeah, it's actually 3 the first quarter, 2 the second quarter, 3 the third, 2 the fourth. So there was a lot of time that we probably needed it the first half. Probably didn't want it so much the second half.
Right.
We had some momentum going then. It was in our benefit the first half, though, to try and catch our breath and regather our thoughts and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what happens in a TV game of that magnitude. That there's a lot of advertisement and stuff that needs to go in. And,
sure.
And it was, like I said, it was a different type of environment for our kids and our coaches to be under, and it was a good thing to get out of the way and a good thing to learn from.
Right. Now, there was a couple of things that took place in that game that a little bit unusual for me, and I've been in football a long, long time, but when you see a young man carry the football for about 50-something, 54 times in one game, I know the football's not very heavy, and then you've got another player on your side of the ball who makes, 35 tackles?
35, 36. I mean, you depend on what you're counting assists and whatever, but he was around the ball all night. And both the young men, I'm sure, were probably had trouble walking the next day.
I'm sure.
But it was 2 gladiators going at it. We would have liked to had a little bit stronger showing from our linebackers at times. But nevertheless, Rashawn Golden had a career night for us. And Dorian Carter for Beach. He really ran well and ran hard the whole game. And so credit to him as well.
Now, Golden is a senior for you, and he's committed to where?
He's committed to University of Tennessee.
Okay.
And he'll be excited to get there next year. And he's had a great year for us so far.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach Hester, going back to your win over Laverne, you said it went into overtime, and you had to score late in the fourth quarter to tie the game up to get there?
Yeah, they scored. It was tied at 17, and they scored with about a minute and 45, 2 minutes to go in the game. And we took it down and scored with about 45 seconds left in the game to tie it at 24 at that point. And then they sat on it, put it into overtime. We won the toss and chose defense, held them to a field goal on their possession, and then scored on our first play.
Mm-hmm. Did you think about going for two when you scored there late in the fourth quarter or
no, not at that point, because I kind of felt like we had the momentum.
Had the momentum.
They were pretty devastated that they'd allowed us to come back and tie it up, and at that point I felt like going into overtime was the thing to do. Now, we had decided that if we needed to, we would have gone for two that first overtime session, being on the road and everything, but it didn't come to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach, let's talk about some of your players who have been grading out for you in your first three ball games. You can mention some of their names and what positions and what year they're in.
Avery Jankowski, our quarterback, has been a steady player. He's not done anything unbelievable out of the ordinary, but he's done a good job distributing the ball. Through the three games, he's only thrown one interception at this point. So he's doing well getting the ball around to the kids that need the ball. Our running backs have done a very good job. We have three running backs that we play. Seth and Chris Rowland are brothers. They get most of the carries. Taylor Warren, who starts on defense for us, will get some, but he's a good running back as well. Those guys have done well so far. And then on the offensive line, Kevin Faulkner, our center, undersized guy, but he gets us the right calls made and gets us lined up, and has allowed us to do some things on the offensive line that we wouldn't have been able to do without him. So those are some guys on offense that have done a very good job. Garrison Geronimus, number 27, outside linebacker for us, had a phenomenal game against Laverne, recovered a punt block for a touchdown, had a big interception in the fourth quarter. He's just a junior, but we think he does very well. And our inside linebacker, number 11, Jeb Stewart, has played really well. He's kind of the headhunter of our crew. So we've had a lot of guys step up, a lot of guys that we didn't expect. That are playing very well for us.
Mm-hmm. You also have a player that is getting a lot of attention, I think a junior wide receiver.
Yeah, Van Jefferson, son of the Titans receiver coach,
Mm-hmm.
Sean Jefferson. Obviously, he's getting a lot of attention from the people in the area, but he's a great football player. Made one of the best one-handed catches on a corner route the other night on that last drive that I've ever seen. When the ball left the quarterback's hand, I thought it was overthrown 10 or 12 yards, and he was able to throw an arm up and catch it. So Van's a great football player, and everybody kind of knows that, and he's getting his due. But we've got some other pieces to the puzzle as well.
You go into the fourth quarter, you score late to get within one, and then you put your kicker out there to kick the extra point. Tell us a little bit about your kicker and what grades he.
Well, to be quite honest with you,
confidence.
we have three kickers. Today, well, or not today. This past Wednesday, we would have had a kickoff to determine who's going to kick tonight. But all three of those guys are very good. They're all accurate up to 45, 47 yards. We have two sophomores and a senior. And we actually have a 12-kick kickoff on Wednesdays to decide who kicks for us on Friday night. So we've actually had two different guys carry the kicking duties for us. The one that was carried on Friday night was a sophomore named Cruz Holt. We try to put those guys in adverse, tough situations just because, I don't think there's any more pressure than coming down to a kick of a high school kid. So we feel like the pressure of this Wednesday kickoff with all the team hooping and hollering and yelling in their ear is the closest we can come to simulating the game-winning field goal of a high school football game. So we put them in those situations, and Ethan White is our senior kicker who carried the kicking duties against Clarksville for us, and I have all the confidence in the world in either one of them, and then it could be any one of them that'll kick on any Friday night.
Well, it takes more just the kicker. You got to have that guy who's going to snap that ball back there. You got a pretty good one?
Yeah, that's a blessing for us. We actually have the number one rated long snapper in the country, a guy by the name of Wesley Horkey, who's been invited to the Under Armour All-American game as a snapper, which is, for a specialist. I told him, you can be the happiest man on any college or NFL team to go snap that thing around for 2 or 3 hours and make some money doing it. But he's very, very good, and it's definitely a blessing for us to have him. He's very talented, so he's gone to all these camps and shown out, and it'll be exciting to watch him play in the Under Armour game.
Now, him being in the Under Armour game, he's a senior. Does he have a preference or where he wants to go play college football?
It kind of, the way it works with long snappers, once they usually sign one, they keep that one for, the 4 years of their career before they sign another one generally. So it's kind of, where is he going to fit in the rotation for everybody? He's had several Big Ten and ACC, a couple of SEC schools contact him. So he's no official offers yet, but he has a lot of interest.
Yeah. A lot of those guys, they ask them to walk on, and, then once they get there and perform a little bit, and they'll give them a scholarship.
But with the publicity he's getting from ESPN and Under Armour, stuff like that, the phone definitely is ringing off the hook for him.
Yeah. Well, Coach Blade, let's kind of go to some of your guys who's been grading out for you in these first 4 games for you guys.
Well, offensively, Our quarterback has had a good start. He had a shaky game last week with some turnovers that bit us a little bit, but other than that, he's had a real good start for us. And when I say that, I mean he's only had the 4 games of varsity experience. He's a senior, but didn't play last year, and 8-man football as a sophomore. So we're real pleased with his competitiveness and his drive to get better, Caleb Hollis. And we're obviously the receivers that get a lot of attention. Vic Wharton has had a great start for us at receiver. He plays the slot receiver, and Rashawn Golden on the other side plays one of our wideouts. Deion Sims is a senior that hasn't played since his freshman year, number 8, and he's done some real good things. And actually had the touchdown at the end of the start of the fourth quarter to tie that game up last week. Matt Bunch is recovering from he recovered from an illness and is just now getting back to full strength. Our other senior at the other wide receiver position, Steven Satchel's done a great job for us on the offensive line. He's our lone senior there, and number 75. He's had a real good start and has also played some interior defensive line. So defensively, we're real young, and so a lot of sophomores play there and juniors that have not played any varsity. Alex Heckman, he's an undersized defensive end, but he really gets after it, tries to play what we're coaching him to do, and so we're real pleased with him. Chris Cole, he was a backup kicker, playing nose guard for us, and for what we do, he's doing a great job for us. And then, of course, Rashawn at safety is a big impact player. Finus has had Stribling at one of the corners has had a couple of picks on the year. So we're still trying to figure out the linebackers. We're kind of rotating through to try and figure out, get them some quality experience. Adam Swayze is another sophomore at strong safety that is coming into his own a little bit. Special team-wise, Drake Dorman is our senior kicker, and I think he's 22 of 22 on his PATs, and he's 18 for 24, I think, on kickoffs that are touchbacks. So that's been a great weapon for us. So a lot of different guys, a lot of youth out there that's getting valuable experience, but we're happy with what they're doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach, if you give me a scouting report on Independence, what we expect to see from Independence tonight?
By far the most athletic team we've played. They're going to put guys at all 4 receiver positions that are as good as anybody we faced. We've had to use Van a lot as a scout team player this week to give ourselves some semblance of what it's going to be like. I think we'll be probably shocked for the first quarter of the speed difference compared to what we're used to, so it'll take us some time to get used to that. They're very well coached on defense. They're where they need to be. They fit everything up well, and then they'll pressure you when they need to. So I think it's going to be an exciting football game. Their special teams are, we're going to start on the 20-yard line 99% of the times. He just mentioned about his kicker, so we're going to have to take the ball 80 yards after they score. So it's going to be a difficult task for Ravenwood.
Mm-hmm. Coach Blade, scouting report on Ravenwood.
Yeah, I think they've gotten better and better each week, and that's a sign of a good coach. And I've known Will for a little bit now since I moved to the state when he was at Laverne, and nothing but respect for the program he runs and how they do it. And I think they're gonna, give us some different looks on defense to try and take away some of our strengths. I think, they do enough offensively to really make things, a bit of a challenge, especially with moving Van Jefferson, who I'll say it is the best receiver we've seen to date, and probably will see throughout the rest of our school. He's special. He's real good, and they've got other guys that don't get maybe the attention, but like you said, the quarterback does a great job of distributing it out to his playmakers, and I think they do a lot of things really well. And I know they're a well-coached team. I know it's a big night for them. That's a big night for us as well. And we're looking forward to the matchup, and it should be a fun night.
Mm-hmm. Well, at Ravenwood High School, it's homecoming there tonight, Coach. Did you get
not picked by the coach? I promise you that.
How'd they go about picking that game as homecoming? Student council, blame it on student council.
Well, that's where it came from. I think our home schedule's kind of messed up the rest of the way. We got a Thursday night game. They didn't want to do it on that before fall break, and then we've got the Brentwood game would be the last one. So, that's actually going to be senior night and all that. So they want to stay away from that. So they wouldn't let us do it the first or second game of the year. They said you can't come have homecoming if you haven't been on the road yet. So we've been on the road and we're back, and dadgum, it's Independence. So, it's going to be an exciting night. We've been preaching to our kids. It's going to be a different atmosphere. It's our first district game. And it's homecoming. It's Independence. Who's obviously got a lot of talent and having a wonderful year so far. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a lot of excitement around the school. We haven't started this well in a long time, and everybody's excited, and we're excited to see how we'll match up against a good team. So I told them to kind of take it all in warm-ups and kind of get all those jitters out, and we'll see after the first snap of the game if we got rid of those jitters or not.
Well, I know neither one of you were at the schools last year, but it was a big win for Ravenwood near the end of the year. I don't know if it's the last game or is it either the 9th or 10th game last year in which Ravenwood upset in Independence there. And I know your kids who played last year kind of remembers that, and also your kids there that were also. Is it a revenge factor for your kids, Coach Blade, or is it just?
We haven't talked about that.
Hadn't even talked about that.
I wasn't there. Coach wasn't there. We didn't even have a bunch of kids that played on that.
Yeah.
It's not. It's never a revenge factor. It's only about this week and tonight, and we know. I can't control anything that happened last year, and it's not even come up, and it won't come up. It's still. This is 2013 team, new coach, new team, and so are we. So that's all we're worried about.
When you game plan, Coach Blade, do you go into the first quarter with a script of 10, 15 plays that you want to get in and see, or is it just kind of go by what's happening?
We kind of go with a feel, and based on our film study, based on what we do well, we'll make adjustments accordingly. But no, I'm not that complicated. I maybe sometimes probably should be, but we just kind of know what we want to do, regardless of what they're trying to do defensively, and then we'll make adjustments to our existing scheme based on what they're trying to do, or play calling. And we'll, if something's not there based on a personnel matchup, we'll find that out real quick, and we'll nix it from the play call list. But other than that, no, we're going off of feel. We're going off of trying to capitalize on what we do well.
Coach, do y'all script plays, get ready for the first 10? Or
we actually will do some formation scripting, that kind of thing, just to see, because there's a lot of the formations we get in that, we haven't seen them line up against in film or whatever, from our study. But I think Scott's kind of like myself, defensively for us, we're going to be fundamental. We're not a big scheme-up team. We don't change defenses every week. We're more about teaching where to fit in the proper spot and play good fundamental technique, and that's going to hold you over. Just like if somebody comes out in something crazy that you haven't seen, you got to be able to play your base defense and play your base coverage and go run to the football. So I think we're very similar in that aspect, that we're going to be somewhat conservative on defense and technical and fundamental and be in the right spot. And then offensively, it's just about distributing the ball in a timely manner to the kids that can do something with it. Coach Daniels, from watching you coach, I picked up a lot of things about having to call offenses and get the ball to the guy who can do something with it. And if you can't get it to him, you got to find some other way to get it to him. You got to hand it to him if you can't throw it to him, or whatever you got to do. But you only have so many kids on your team that can do something with it, and you got to find a way to get it to them.
So if you had to kind of point into some of the keys to victory for you guys tonight, what would those things be for you guys tonight?
I think it's generic football keys to victory. We can't turn the football over. We're going to have to score points when given the opportunity, because those may be few and far between. So when we're in the red zone, we got to put points on the board. We can't turn it over, and then we got to limit the big play. It's pretty clear that they've got some home run hitters over there, and we got to tackle them and make them snap it again. The more they snap it, the better chance we have of something bad happening. We can't let them score from all over the field. So,
Coach Blade,
he said it. Yeah, I think you take away the turnovers last week. That was the first time that we had really lost the turnover battle all year, and it bit us. It bit us hard because we felt like we could move the ball. We just made some poor decisions, got careless with the ball, and that ended, our offensive drives. And like you said, I'm the same believer. Make them snap it again. Anything can happen. Make them snap it again. Eliminate those big plays. We know they got a young man that can definitely go the distance and create issues for us. And then the big thing defensively is we got to do a better job tackling. We've got to do a better job tackling. There's too many. Rashawn should not have, Galton should not have 35 tackles.
Right.
Something is broken down in there. And we knew that. We tried to make adjustments. We tried to get, but bottom line is he still ended up with 3 times his share. So again, it comes down to worrying about what we can control, which is we've got to do a better job tackling and got a better job protecting the football.
Well, I'm going to get off tonight's game and talk a little bit something outside that spectrum. Oregon, Will, offensively, have you seen a more explosive team than Oregon?
It's pretty impressive. The fact of, we try to play fast, but to get the plays called at the pace that they do and to be as multiple as they are, it's pretty impressive the amount of the thought and planning that must go into, just their process of going from the sideline to the ball and getting everything called and snapped, not to mention the phenomenal players they got out there. But, just that pace adds so much to their explosiveness because, there's no way to simulate it. Just like we can't simulate the speed of Vic and Rashawn and those guys in practice, so it takes you halfway through the first quarter before you figure out,
Sure.
This is how it's going to be. And by that time against Oregon, you're down 35 points. I mean, hopefully we don't get down 35 points tonight.
Do you see offenses moving that way at the high school level too?
Well, look at Siegel. They went 14-1 last year or 13-1, and were probably the best team in the state, with a healthy Stockstill. And I think their pace, gave them the opportunities to do that kind of stuff. They had some great players, but I think the mixture of athletes and pace, I think it can be a dangerous thing. But there's also something to be said for taking 30 seconds off the clock every time you've got it and shortening the game if you've got that kind of offense as well. I think your philosophy has to match up with your personnel. If you're huge on the offensive line and you're going to get in the eye and you're going to pound people, I don't think doing it as fast as you can is the way to go.
I think Coach Saban probably would agree with you on that one. Texas A&M, Alabama, Coach. I know that was a Saturday game. You had a lot of other things on your mind, but if
I did watch that one.
You did?
Yeah.
So as far as rooting, did you have one you was rooting for that particular night?
I'm actually a big fan of Nick Saban and the way he does it and some of his principles and. So I enjoy watching his teams play, but man, Johnny Manziel is something else.
Man.
Take some of the negative things that have gone on the last 6 months or whatever. He is something else, and that was an incredible game. But going back to, I think what everybody would like to see is that Oregon-Alabama matchup at the end of the year with the final season of BCS. My goodness. I think I read something today. I think you're talking about the illusion of complication, and keeping it simple.
Sure.
Some of their stuff is their formations and stuff, but I think if Coach and I were to sit down and break them down, there's a lot of the same stuff. It gives the illusion of complication, but being very simplified. And I think they do that really well, being able to go fast pace. But I bet you if we broke it down, and really got into it, you'd go, man, this is the same stuff but maybe his read, he's getting his first option, then his second option, then his third option, and then he's handing it off or he's keeping it. But it's all, I think if you go and look at it, it's probably simple, but it's got an illusion and a pace. The pace makes it so complicated and hard to defend. And Beach was actually running a little more up tempo. We talked about, if they were ground and pound all the way, but they were running it play after play. They got in a ton of plays. There was a ton of offensive plays in that game between both of us, and they had 20 more than us. And I think they did a good job because they don't have the big, huge linemen. They got good-sized linemen, and they're obviously in great condition, and they just pounded and pounded, but it wasn't your 30 seconds. It was pretty quick. So our guys that are smaller and whatever and reeling, oh my gosh, they just line back up and here it comes again, here it comes again. So, but I do think that pace is something that you'll see continue to, improve at the high school level.
And then the one thing about Johnny football is, you've coached quarterbacks. Everything you tell him not to do, he does and gets away with it. Retreat, run around for 15 seconds, and then throw it up down the middle of the field where no one wants to throw it up, and it comes out working for him every single time.
Hey, I had a quarterback like that named Bill Whittemore one time. I would be on the sideline. No. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
You'd change right in the middle of the sentence after you made a positive play out of something you were trying not to tell him to do. So I think if Saban's got about 6 weeks to get ready for it, he'll probably have his defense ready, but it would be a great game, and hopefully.
Well, I think that's what most people want to, Oregon has been right there on the cusp, and they've slipped up, and they still got, both of them have tough rows to hoe here.
Yeah.
But I think that would be the last year, the BCS, I think that would be a fun one.
Tackling rules, the new rules that's come into play with the college and the NFL, I don't know if it's trickled down to the high school yet as far as kids getting suspended for a game because they're hitting high. What do you think your opinion is?
Well, I think it's all for the safety of the kids. We go through our deal of teaching eyes up tackling just like everybody else does, and I think they're trying to do the right things. I think it's a little more tougher for these older guys in the NFL that have been doing it for so long, and some of them make their living off being an intimidator, being a guy that when you come across the middle is going to rip your face off basically, and so I think it's more of a challenge for them. I think the youth league, especially in Brentwood's, doing a good job of teaching tackling, and it's kind of trickling, on up to us as they get up here. So it's a non-factor for us right now.
Right.
I'm going to go a different angle because I agree with everything, but we had an issue, SEC issue, and they called a targeting foul on the guy, and he was actually going for the ball. If you remember this game, going for the ball, hits the guy. Hits him with his shoulder first, but they called a targeting foul. Now, it's reviewable on tape as to whether he is suspended for the game. But regardless, so they gave him the 15-yard penalty, but then they say it's not a targeting.
Right.
So, you can't have it both ways. You say, oh, wait, we made a mistake. It wasn't targeting, but you still get the 15-yard penalty.
Right.
That I don't like,
Right.
But thank goodness
It
it's
is
not
what
at
it
our
is.
level, right?
Well, coaches, best of luck tonight. Stay healthy, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thanks, Joe.
Homecoming at Ravenwood High School, 7 o'clock. I'm Jack Daniels, your host. Thank you.
Too many of Tennessee's students drop out of high school. If you ask them why, you'll probably hear they just can't keep up because they don't have the reading skills. Success in school is based on success in reading, and learning to read starts with hearing words. With young children, storybook reading, particularly family storybook reading, plays a special and important role.
Had a great, what's the last word?
Mom.
Good.
Have fun with reading. Read the directions on the box and bake a cake together. Create a scrapbook, write a family cookbook, or a newsletter.
That looks like you.
What about the triangle?
A triangle face?
Work with your child to cut coupons and make a grocery list. Write thank you notes to grandparents. Read a book about different occupations. Then ask your child what they would like to be when they grow up.
You could be, maybe. What about an eye doctor, just like your granddaddy?
My eye doctor is much more. He works with some glasses.
He does work with some glasses.
Don't underestimate the impact that reading can have on your child's future. Choose success. Choose reading. This Choose Success moment has been brought to you by the Middle Tennessee P16 Council. For more information about children and reading, contact your local school system.